Hello everyone, welcome to this week's version of our news analysis videos where we just kind of go over a law recap and talk about what's important in why. So we're actually going to skip a lot of the PBE here just because this week is also the release of patch 7.2. So basically all these changes here that we're going to go over, they're also going to be in the patch rundown, so we can actually just go right ahead to general news. So the reason why this is kind of important is it's just another good step for esports in general as more sports figures invest in the scene. It was either Someday or Chaser that said it in an interview, but the reason they said that they liked Dignitas, or liked the Dignitas choice, was just because of the financial stability of the NBA organization behind them. So when there's more money in the scene behind each team, there's more incentive for players to, go to them. So rich investors in the scene are a good thing. I don't think we're really going to see any big loss. Actually, there we go. Just noticed that right now. But effectively, well, it's not like you can even be a poor investor, really. Even Challenger Series spots and LCS slots, like, they cost a lot, and it's also kind of obvious now that you do have to invest in, proper training environment, maybe some, better computers, etc., etc. So it's just good all around. It's pretty big for Brazil and the Brazilian scene and esports in general, that Ronaldo Fenomeno is throwing his wallet at the scene. And I don't have any real comment about Jish from Chiefs going to NA, and I don't really have much of a comment on Sonstar here. Now is probably a good time to move this up just a little bit, because we look at Hong Kong esports here. So OzoraVeki was the mid laner for the Kuala Lumpur Hunters for quite a while. They're a team in Malaysia, one of the GPL regions. Getting out of the wildcard region and to the LMS could be a really, really good thing for his career. It is fairly difficult to be competitive and also make a name for yourself in the GPL, not just because you have to win your own region, but then you have to win the actual GPL tournament afterwards, because the GPL is split into like 6 different countries. So that's a thing. Flaresz going to the Oceanic region, following a couple other NA Challenger players, Schroeder Ace and XP Cake. Australia is a pretty good wildcard region, honestly, for NA or EU residents to go to. They might relate more to the white culture over there, in contrast to, say, Latin America, Russia, Turkey, Brazil. And just Australia is pretty cool. They're kind of like Canada in a sense, but instead of snow, you have crocodiles and giant spiders. I don't have much of a comment on Gambit CIS, but yes, this is still Diamond Prox's team. Interested to see how they do in the LCL with him, because I actually don't really recognize any of these other player team names here. A lot of the good players are on the other LCL teams. Like, you could put Diamond Prox and Albus Nox Luna, but it's not like they're going to get rid of their jungler, PvP stay hosts. Alright, so we look at our kind of live server / Riot centric news here. I would say that I'm actually kind of disappointed with the Lunar Revel event here. I can't really knock the skins or the summoner icons. The promo site and the login screen animation were really cool. The bundles make sense to have. That's kind of with every event. This Warring Kingdoms Azir statue is pretty cute. I'll actually take this time to kind of tangent and side note that the Riot Games merchandise store still doesn't have anything Anivia related, and I think that's absolute bullshit. But anyways, so, like, I'm gonna have to move this again. Holy shit. Probably just gonna keep this up here. Yeah, that's probably good. But it's just like, just a bunch of Hex Tech crafting RNG is pretty underwhelming. There's no double IP related events. There's no group rewards. There's no new lore, really. And then, like, Ocean Week is actually pretty huge, but the trade-off for Ocean Week is that you actually have to be in the Oceanic region, which is kind of a big downside in itself. So, I don't know. It's maybe we'll see more. Like, if we look at the Blood Moon event coming up next, like, there's an entire map reskin, so maybe they're saving a lot of it for that. But yeah, move this back down a little bit. Yeah, do dynamic. Just move everyone. Oh, I'm over here now. Now I'm here. All right, let's see here. So I'm kind of surprised that Crumbz, of all people, is having visa issues. If that is true, I don't know if this is just like a Twitter meme here. But just because Riot Games in general are like, they have guides for teams to help them with visa processes. They're like, hey, if you want to get a visa for a player, this is how you do it. We'll help run you through it. But then they can't get one themselves. I don't know. Crumbz does definitely bring a lot of good veteran analysis from being involved in the scene for so long, and in general has a good desk presence. So it would kind of suck to see him off permanently. But I do think like it is a temporary thing, it sounds like. So we don't know for sure yet. This Collegiate League change is pretty hype. I don't really have much of a comment for the Collegiate League in general, other than it is a great initiative to give students some more extra things to do. Like clubs in general are a good thing. It helps you get out and be social and stuff. And it's great that Riot Games puts a lot of effort into promoting it. Like it's good for esports in a sense, because like you got college sports teams, so it makes sense that esports would follow suit kind of. But I would actually also say that there isn't really much of a incentive to watch the collegiate scene, just because the level of play is going to be noticeably lower than that of like the LCS or even the Challenger series in a lot of situations. So I mean, it's probably not going to be as big as like college football for a while, or like you watch the viewership numbers between like the NHL and college hockey, right? So that's going to be kind of the nature of the collegiate scene for quite a while. But it's cool that like they're still working on it and they're still investing in it and making sure that it's still a thing, because for a lot of these people who are, joining, getting involved with their school, you look at kind of the stereotypical video game player. They are usually introverts. They don't really get out much. A lot of these people, they probably wouldn't get involved in any club or anything like that if there wasn't like a collegiate scene or like an esports club or something like that. So it's a pretty cool initiative altogether. A World Cup styled event would still be super stacked in Korea's favor, and honestly wouldn't be as fun to watch. I think I'd rather see a lot of middle of the pack teams from each region go up against each other, like teams that otherwise wouldn't get to represent themselves on an international stage. I'd be down for like another Battle of the Atlantic, which is like they just have a bunch of NA teams versus EU teams in like a small, like for fun sort of tournament. Also, like they could have some like Korea versus China type of things. But yeah, like, so I don't know. A new international event in general is just pretty hype. Yep. Now let's see here. So I might have been a little too harsh on the Lunar Revel if a lot of what if content is instead being channeled into the Blood Moon event. But I say that just because like the map retexture and 5 new skins. I'm curious to see what will come out of this, besides also Summoner Icon, Award Skin, and bundles. But actually on PvE now they've got some of these like Blood Moon, like this is Blood Moon TF, Jhin, Callista, Diana, Talon. And the Diana and TF splash arts are actually really, really good looking. We'll see those sort of next week. I don't have any real comment on the Mobile Friends app. Just it's good for the app, but I never really use it, so I can't really comment on its importance or anything like that. Other than have you seen some of these builds here, like kind of some tank Corki here going on with a Cinder Hulk jungle, AP Twitch, Crit Nunu. I don't want to try any of those. Maybe Crit Nunu. I think that might be kind of fun because you can constantly get a maybe you'd never run out of mana. You can just keep getting crits off, and then like every 5 attacks you pelt them with an ice, little ice block. Sales and rotations. I think the ones to definitely try out, I would recommend Hecarim and Jhin. Other than, like Hecarim is a really good kind of face roller for playing the jungle. You don't have to think much about your actual mechanics. You can focus more on the map. And as for Jhin, it's just he's pretty standard right now, and I've heard he's pretty fun. I've actually never tried Jhin, but you know, he could be relatively fun. A lot of these other champions, you know, Malphite is a pretty good beginner one. Diana, if you kind of want to challenge yourself a little bit, Diana can be pretty fun. Wukong's actually also pretty fun too. Gragas is actually getting buffed, so this week might be a good time to try him. I don't really have much of a comment on Braum or Lulu. Like, all of these champions are fun in their own regard in some way or another. But if I had to choose just two, I would say Hecarim and Jhin. Any things for skins or sales? Nothing here really stands out to me. Although, I will vouch and say that Spellthief Lux is a pretty good skin. I like using that one. Let's see here. Some of our birthdays. More ZB, the support for... He was the support for LMQ, and his name was TCT when he was on the Chowgu Reapers, because the bot lane was TNT and TCT. Tabe is infamous for being well liked by the Western fans, especially after his Humble Worlds interviews during Season 3. But he is a fairly controversial figure in this, like in the Chinese scene, especially when he leaked strats on the Analyst Desk at Worlds. I think that was 2005 or 2015. So that's kind of where Tabe is. As they say, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. Thresh, it's actually kind of amazing to see that Thresh is 4 years old now, because Thresh's release was actually really significant, I would say, because he was kind of the first one to have like a kit that was full of like a lot of different flashy utility, like the hook, the lantern, especially were two really big things. And so a lot of people were... So there was a while where, like, Thresh was, like, just really powerful. And it was just like, well, even if Thresh did 0 damage, he would still get picked banned a lot because his utility is so worthwhile. But it's not that Thresh was the problem, but Thresh was more of the solution. I think Thresh was definitely a really good step in the right direction as far as future balance changes were concerned. Just fun champs that are, you know, fun to play, fun to watch. So if you look at some of the stuff here... Motherfucking Anivia, right here, highest win rate. Can't believe they would destroy her with those 6.23 nerfs. Unreal. I can't believe they would Olaf a champion, make her absolutely useless so that no one would play her, and that no one would have success with her. Man, shout out to Anivia mains, man. They keep showing that, like, all these Anivia changes are not the worst things in the world. I don't really have much of a comment on here. These are all pretty standard, the rest of these. It was kind of surprising to see Swain up there. But, the rest of these honestly aren't really that surprising. Like, Lee Sin, Thresh, Ezreal, they're fun champs. Nidalee's always kind of sucked for a little while. Azir's kind of sucked for a while. Ryze is one of those. It's like, it's hard to win as him, but, like, he's still really valuable in competitive play. So that's a relatively interesting stat for him. I'm actually surprised that Aurelion doesn't get played more. He actually is fairly fun, especially the ganks with his E. You do have to play the map pretty well, though, if you want to play Aurelion properly. But, these are all, like, none of these are really new for ban rates and stuff. I'm glad that, I'm actually very glad that we aren't seeing frickin' Zed anymore in the top 5 bans. Like, for so long, Zed was, like, the most banned. And I was constantly saying, like, Zed isn't OP. Like, there are proper ways to counter Zed. Like, both on a team, like, an individual, like, one-on-one sense, but also, like, in team fights. Like, if you're an AD carry, just stand next to your support. If you're a support, just stand next to your AD carry. Like, it was relatively simple. Just, there were so many good ways to deal with Zed. But everyone was still banning him, because the majority of the community... actually, some statistics are showing 78% of the community is either in bronze or silver. And a lot of, like, if you're in bronze or silver, I'm going to assume that, you know, unless you're someone who is really good at the game but just doesn't play that often, you know, I just don't think you're good enough to deal with Zed, because that's just what bronze and silver players think. That Zed is just completely unstoppable, but I'm glad to not see him anymore, though Yasuo, I mean, Yasuo is the new Zed. People just, you can deal with Yasuo. But I know a lot of people just ban Yasuo because they just hate Yasuo players in general. The Yasuo on your team always sucks ass. The Yasuo on the other team usually is really good. That type of mentality. The highest win rates, Anivia again. Loving that. And Aurelion got the really low play rate, but still got some high win rates up here. Talon, yeah, the Talon said that he's being played top and mid. So I think I could have gotten away with just not putting Talon up there. I don't think anyone would have really batted an eye or cared that much. Ivern's still doing pretty well for himself. But the Ziggs bot lane, still pretty funny, but also kind of funny to see that Urgot's up there. So all those ADC and 2K17 memes. But we can go right to our pro tournament results here too now. And we're going to watch this advertisement. We're going to give me some money here. All right, let's see here. So we can go right off into the NALCS. So with every single tournament that we're going to look over here, I actually don't think that there's going to be too much to say for each individual one, just because it's still the first week, right? I think C9 and Dignitas were definitely, I think they looked the best. And I think if Dignitas didn't face Cloud9, they also would have gone 2-0 in their best of threes. TL and CLG still have some good signs in them. COG, like, they've had just these massive, what was it? I don't think there's too much shame in losing to Liquid, but, like, against Envious, they looked really bad in the first couple of games. Like, especially in the early game, they looked really awful. Like, they should not have been falling behind Envious. But, I think the only reason that they were able to pull wins against Envious was just because they are kind of a veteran status, and they aren't absolute trash, but I think there's still definitely some signs of life. I think TL, like Lurlo, had a really good week for Team Liquid. Rainover actually didn't look his best this week, quite surprisingly. Immortals and TSM, not looking as hopeful as we would have initially thought. Just without Doublelift, the entire team synergy just seems to kind of be a little lackluster. And their bot lane, like Wild Turtle and Biofrost, definitely don't look as good. Now, as for Immortals, I think they are kind of in a slump here. They do have a lot of players that I wouldn't necessarily say are like good shot callers. Like Pobelter doesn't really call shots. Like Pobelter he doesn't necessarily carry the game by himself, but like he's there as a good tool. Like you can say like, okay, Pobelter, we want you to do this, and Pobelter will do it. But like they're still having some communication issues. Like Immortals missed like a couple bans. Like for like a couple of Immortals games, they straight up missed a ban because Olay like didn't press it or something like that. So I think, and there's like, again, there isn't really much of a shot caller on Immortals. Like same with Dardoch. Like Dardoch, their jungler, he's really like, he likes to go hard and really aggressive. And like kind of like Pobelter, he's a good tool. So it's going to be hard for Immortals, honestly. Like, yeah, they need to get a lot of their communication up, but they also need to get like a really, really solid cement shot caller. Fox can potentially do better, honestly. Acadian looked really amazing. I think Acadian's got to be the one to really call the shots, because like it's not like Looper can speak English. Froggen and Keith don't really make many of the plays themselves. They kind of follow up. So if Acadian can really step into the role and like rise to the occasion, I think Fox can actually do much better. Like I can see a scenario where Echo Fox actually beats Immortals and like places higher than them. But it depends. Like Immortals would have to really not get any of their act together, while Fox just continuously improves. FlyQuest, really surprising a lot of people and looking really good. Honestly, like I predicted FlyQuest to be in the bottom 2 by the end of the split, and I think there still might be some room for that. But like I don't think FlyQuest will stay at the top as a really top team. But they did look really good this week, really decisive. You really can't count high out. Yeah, so let's go over here to Europe. I think UOL looked better than I would expect them to, and Vitality looked worse than I would expect them to. Origin actually looked better than expected. We look at Origin, we kind of expect them to be a roster to kind of keel over, kind of less similar to Giants and Roccat. Let's see what else here. Actually, here we got a. So these are both ties for third. I kind of derped there. Oh well. I think Fnatic has a lot of really good signs going for them here. Like they lost here. Oh, it's not a tie. I lied. I was right there. There you go. But yeah, like Fnatic did look really good in their series against G2. I think Splice was kind of a shocker for them to do as bad, but also just H2K in general. Just I didn't expect H2K to look this good, like right off the bat. Yeah, we can go over here to the LCK. No surprises to see that KT and SKT are currently undefeated right now. Yep, that's just it's kind of a thing for them right now. Both super team rosters. Africa defeating Samsung and then losing to MVP, while MVP lost to Barbecue Olivers and then beat Africa. I don't know, kind of an unpredictable series of events there, but it definitely makes a lot of things really interesting here. Deft had some really good plays. And it's kind of weird to see Huni going Knights, Vow, Locket, Maokai, because that's a huge contrast to like his full damage Riven before in the past, but he's really meshing with the team well, so it's very exciting to see how SKT is going to do this year. Like KT Roster, they haven't had the hardest schedule, like Rocks, Tigers, and Barbecue Olivers. So they also got the 4-0, but they're also not having performances as dominating as SKT. Though KT and SKT both did honestly kind of have easier schedules this week. Like none of them went up against Africa, none of them went up against Samsung. So that's kind of some food for thought there. The Challenger Series Korea. So it's nice to see CJ Entis winning some games. I don't really know the context behind a lot of these teams, honestly. The Challenger Series Korea seems to be relatively quiet in the West until it suddenly happens. So our LoL recaps actually did kind of get taken by surprise with a lot of these team names. Everite winners had to completely rebuild from last season. We'll just have to wait to see how a lot of these pan out. That's going to be kind of the theme with a lot of these tournaments here. For LPL, I didn't really expect EDG to be so dominant after losing Pawn and Deft, especially since their new AD carry was just the mid lane substitute for Rocks Tigers. Oh, this isn't supposed to be Ben 4. This should say Zet. We'll just gotta have to wait to see how a lot of these pan out. As I said, nothing else here really sticks out to me. The LSPL here, so the LSPL actually originally started off with 16 teams. And then the bottom two slots were auto relegation. So then it was 14 teams. And now we got 12. So it looks like it'll later be 10 teams. It's a pretty interesting long-term way to kind of increase the saturation of competitiveness in a league. I'm wondering if they'll stop at 8 teams. Maybe 6 teams. I think it's just going to be 8 though. We'll see. I expect Young Miracles and Royal Club to kind of stay near the top, because that's traditionally where they've been. And for Saint Gaming to finish, I expect them to finish in the top half if they're complacent. I think it would be really huge if they get relegated from the LPL and then immediately, yeah. Although I think I may have done some derping here. Again, see, the context with me editing all of these was actually I was quite behind. I spent most of last week working on my Korean analysis video, so I was kind of in a time crunch. That's why this video was actually it lacks proper transitions, and it was released 3 hours later. So here we've got Saint Gaming losing 2-1 to Young Miracles, and also going 2-0 against Dan Gaming here, but I had them as 1-1, so that's actually whoops. That should actually say 0-2, although they still have 1-4 in total, so they're still technically in 10th place. But as you see, some smaller things like that. LMS. Oh, that's not LMS. This is LMS. So I would say these are quite standard results, honestly, across the board. I don't think anything is too surprising here, other than J-Team dropping a game to M17. Or Machi, if we remember last split's context, where J-Team finished first in the overall records there. Let's see the ECS. Raze Gaming is Raze Gaming is Toys' team. They were formerly Dreamcatcher Gaming, who were like one of the top 3 teams. I think actually maybe second place. Yeah, they were right up there though. Non-HK basically lost all of their good players last split after their dominating ECS performance, so they might not repeat that because just, you know, like I think like their bot lane's on Hong Kong esports now. This is HQ's challenger team, J Team's challenger team. Team Yeti qualified through like some qualifiers just last split. I don't know anything about 228. So CB Lol here derped and showed Remo Brave beating Ints when actually it was Ints that beat Remo Brave. But also I just kind of, we've got some big derpage going on here with the overall standings. So whoops, like this is kind of a mess overall. But the top 3 teams are Ints, Pain Gaming and Red, CNB and Kaboom are tied for 4th. Kaboom should not be up there. And then down here it's Key. Actually, these bottom 3 ones I actually got right, so there we go. But honestly, I don't have any real comments other than I'm kind of surprised that Key couldn't take a game off of Pain Gaming, but they do have to, like, they did have a couple roster changes, so still gotta kind of get used to that. Yep, don't really have anything to say about the BRCC. This match didn't even finish. We go over to Japan. These are kind of some standard results, except for Unsold Stuff Gaming beating 7th Heaven. That's actually kind of surprising. Like the top 3 teams in Japan for the last little while have definitely been. Here we go. Have definitely been Detonation, 7th Heaven, and Rampage. So I think there's still a lot of time for that, but it makes it just a little bit more interesting to see Unsold Stuff Gaming at the top there. As for CLS, Chaos Latin Gamers here, they're finding themselves in a rebuild once again. Azurus Gaming are probably going to stay near the top for a little bit. Last Kings actually did pretty poorly last split, if I remember. I do kind of expect Rebirth to kind of stay near the bottom there. I think HalfNet could be up here, like HalfNet can make the playoffs. But I would expect Rebirth Esports and Chaos Latin Gamers to kind of stay near the bottom here, unless KLG kind of really pulls something spectacular out of their butts. Now for the LLN here. So the Northern Latin American region, going over to an 18 format instead of a 16 format and kind of messing up my, what's it called? What is it? My template altogether, which is why we had LJL and Southern Latin America there. Let's see here. Predators Esports already looking pretty good, tied for first place, but also remember they didn't actually face the best of teams here. Gaming, they do kind of have a throwaway roster. Infamous Gaming, like they just recently qualified, so I guess Predators, all they really proved here is like they were the superior challenger team. But Lion Gaming is probably going to just stay near the top again. But it is interesting. Infinity CR, they also didn't have the easiest, the hardest of schedules. But I do think that Dash9 Gaming should have been able to take a game off them, but they didn't. So rip that team. Go over to Turkey here. So I'm looking forward to another competitive split of Turkey. We got a lot of ties here, you know, like that. Actually, we can expect Dark Passage, Supermassive, HWA to stay up here near the top. Fenerbahce has a good shot, I would say. But I am kind of expecting Team Aurora to kind of pull it together though, because they were also near the top. But HWA Gaming is a pretty hard contender to square up against. But they should have at least taken one game off of them. Let's see here. Now we got OPL here. So the NA Imports picking up some nice wins. Tainted Minds going 2-0 over XL5, though this was kind of a harder, like this was a, these guys just qualified. I think they like auto-qualified even, I'm not sure. But yeah, like XL5, this is their first split. Sin Gaming, should have been able to pick up a win against Abyss, so that's nice for them. Other than that, I would say all these results here are pretty standard. Direwolves and Chiefs should be close. Legacy is still a really good team, or a really good org in general, but Vanguard has never really been up there. So that's going to be it for this week of our news analysis. Thanks for sticking around this long. I know these videos can be pretty hard or pretty long, but yeah, so that's all fairly interesting, all well and good. I'll see you guys in the future with some more League of Legends content.